non-scientists, we like to focus on the important things, like feuding rap artists, McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, and Jordan release dates. But in addition to these important topics, we'd like to add two more to the list: evolution and ecology.
Through this e-talk, me and Kenya are going to show you how important ecology and evolution are to people like me and you.
In order to understand why evolution is important in the first place, we have to define evolution. So evolution is the change in a population's characteristics over time. These characteristics are passed down to offspring from their parents through genes, which hold alleles that code for information that in turn determines what you look like and who you are. So essentially, evolution creates variation within a population. So let's say you're creating a masterpiece. You have a set crayon box with basic red, yellow, blue, basic colors. The mixing of those colors add variation to the crayon box. So after you mix those basic colors, you're left with vermilions, baby pinks, light blues, and things of that nature. So essentially, evolution does the same thing. It adds variation to a group. If evolution adds variation within a population, then that means no two people are alike. The four mechanisms of evolution are natural selection, gene flow, genetic drift, and mutations. Natural selection is the theory that survival of the fittest. So basically, natural selection is the process with which nature selects for or against a particular trait in order to enhance the survival of an organism. So essentially, as a human who's alive, you won out against other organisms who are competing for the same resources that you have. The next mechanism is gene flow, which allows for individuals to migrate between populations. So let's say I hop on a plane to Italy and start to get it on with some Italian man. I take our kid back to the United States, and his genes as 1/2 Italian are now added to the population. Genetic drift is the change in allele amounts within a population, which usually affects smaller populations than larger ones. And then finally, mutation is the introduction of new alleles. So in the McDonald's example, let's say that all the cows have the same genetic makeup. So same DNA, same RNA, same genetic makeup. So if these cows are affected by disease, the total population of cows will be eliminated. That means no burgers, no McDonald's, no happiness. Evolution is important because it adds variation and uniqueness to our population. Who wants to look like the next person sitting beside them? I know I don't. Another reason why evolution is important is because it helps us evade diseases. So who wants to die tomorrow? That's what I thought. Evolution allows us to understand how viruses and bacteria evolve so that we can avoid them. So doctors prescribe antibiotics when bacteria that carry pathogens invade our body. Pathogens are disease-carrying molecules that invade multicellular organisms. Those bacteria that survive through natural selection, as they have acquired traits that allow them to survive, multiply, and then are able to defend themselves against those antibiotics. So if the antibiotics that we prescribe don't work, then how do we get rid of the bacteria? We can't. That's why evolution is important. Evolution is important because it allows us to understand the bacteria and viruses that came to be way before we were even inhabiting planet Earth. So for example, smallpox. Smallpox was a virus that originated in the 1500s as a result of changing trade routes across the world. The virus was passed from person to person. Now, in the 1970s, a vaccination was created in order to evade smallpox. But before then, the virus had wiped out an enormous amount of the human population, and it still could. So evolution is important because it keeps those pathogens, harmful viruses, and bacteria at bay.
Okay, so now that my friend talked to you about evolution, I'm going to talk to you about ecology. Ecology is the study of relationships between organisms and the environment. The first subject in ecology that I'm going to talk to you about is the levels of ecological study. They go from organism, population, community, ecosystem, biome, and biosphere. An organism lives in a population. A population is a group of organisms that live in the same place at the same time. A community is how different populations interact with each other. An ecosystem is when you put all of it together, including the abiotic and the biotic factors. Abiotic factors are the non-living things like rocks, the sunlight, and wind. Biotic factors are living things and how they interact with each other. Next is the biome. The biome is all of the similar ecosystems in one area. A biome is similar ecosystems that have similar climatic conditions. And lastly, the biosphere is the whole entire world, everything all put together in one. So the way I thought of it is an organism, let's say Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is an artist, and a population would be all of the hip-hop artists in one group. So like Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar, they're all hip-hop artists. And then a community would be Lil Wayne's record label, Young Money. So Young Money would be all the artists under Lil Wayne, and they all do the same thing, they make music. An ecosystem would be all the artists that Lil Wayne collabs with. So let's say Lil Wayne makes a song with Drake, and then Lil Wayne makes a song with Rick Ross, and then Lil Wayne makes a song with Nicki Minaj. So that would be an ecosystem. They're all working together in the same area. And then a biome would be the different record labels. So Lil Wayne's record label, Young Money, and then Columbia Records, RCA Records, Arista, Sony Entertainment, and things like that. And then a biosphere would be music in general, because all those different record labels make music. The next section is biological interactions. So the different biological interactions are mutualism, competition, cooperation, parasitism, and commensalism. Mutualism is when both organisms benefit. They are both benefiting from one resource. Competition is when two or more organisms go against each other head-to-head for one resource, and one of them has to lose, and one of them obviously wins. The next biological interaction is parasitism. Parasitism is when you have a host and an organism, and the host lives within the organism, feeding off of their resources, their energy, but they never necessarily kill the organism, because if the parasite kills the organism, then the parasite will lose its resources and die as well. Next is commensalism. Commensalism is when one organism is benefiting and the other isn't necessarily affected. So if a dog is living in, let's say, a house, the house isn't being affected, the dog is just benefiting from living within the house. Next is cooperation, when everything works together, so all organisms work together. Let's say like hunting with wolves. Wolves, when they hunt in the forest, they attack one prey, so there will be a pack of wolves running, and then they'll lead the prey into, let's say, a trap where the other wolves are, and they all benefit from that one prey. And lastly, commensalism. So let's say one artist is making music in a record company. A record company doesn't necessarily make any profit from that artist making music until the song gets big and it's played on the radio and different things like that. So just the process of an artist recording within a record company is commensalism. Next we have biomagnification. Biomagnification is important, but it means the buildup of toxins within an organism from that organism ingesting other smaller organisms. So let's say a human eats sushi. So let's take a spicy tuna roll. Tuna is a big fish within the sea. It eats many smaller fishes. And those smaller fishes have toxins within them. An example of a toxin could be mercury. So if smaller fishes eat the plants and the plants have mercury in them, and those smaller fishes intake the mercury. Then the tuna eats all those small fishes. Then the tuna has all the mercury from the plants and the fishes, and that is inside of the tuna. And let's say we go and eat a spicy tuna roll, we took in all the mercury from the fish, the smaller fish, the plants, and the tuna. And then mercury can sometimes cause spontaneous abortions within women. So biomagnification is important because you have to be careful how much fish you eat or what water you drink, because there could be toxins within it that could be hazardous to your health.
So why are evolution and ecology important? Well, evolution is important because we wouldn't be here without it. It helps us understand diseases and other things that could affect us.
The levels of ecological study, biological interactions, and biomagnification are very important three things because they tell us about how we live our lives and how important our environment is to our livelihood.
So without understanding these two topics, we wouldn't be able to make educated decisions about how we govern ourselves. So through learning about evolution and ecology, we can make better decisions about the way we live our lives.
Thank you for watching.